Thank you for listening to The Mirror. I'd just like to explain a little bit about how I wrote it. This piece is in two sections. It's called binary form, and we've got the A section there and then the B section here. The whole piece is based on this short 4-bar melody, and you'll see that shape and that phrase all the way through the piece. One of the reasons for writing the piece was I wanted to try and explore using inversions in the chords. Normally a chord appears with its root at the bottom, that's the tonic note. So here we've got an A at the bottom, and I've also put an R to signify it's the root position chord. You can see there are other R's throughout the piece. All the other chords are inversions, so that means they either start on the 3rd, the 5th or the 7th note of the chord. And that gives us quite an interesting sound because we end up with some semitones and tones which give us just that little bit of dissonance. And it also means that harmony sounds slightly lighter. Even though it starts in A minor, the key of the piece is actually F major, which tells us there. And the first 8 bars are in minor chords. But when we get to bar 11 there, we change and we go to a major chord, we go to G major. And we have a cycle of fifths, so G major, C major, F major, and then B flat major there. You'll see there's a root position chord here, and that is setting us up, because that's chord 2, it's setting us up for this focal point here, which is where the F chord comes again. So we have the G minor 7, then we have a suspended 4th on the C. Now C is the root of the note, which should be there, and then the 4th is the F above it. You'll see it creates a bit of dissonance, but then it falls to the 3rd note of the chord, which is its resolution. The focal point there is the F chord, but instead of it being a root, then we've got it on its first inversion, which gives it a slightly lighter feel. The harmony is generally 2 bars of each chord, but when we transition out of that, then at this point here, we go to 1 bar of B flat, 1 bar of B7 flat 5, and then a couple of bars of E7, and that takes us nicely into the B section where we need to be in A minor again. Now this is why the piece is called The Mirror. This melody here has been inverted, it's been turned upside down. So here you see we go from G down to C, but here we now go from C up to G. There that little phrase comes down, here that little phrase goes up. So the melody has been inverted, it's been turned upside down. Okay, so we then follow on. We get to this point here, and what I should have done really, if I'd followed it exactly, is gone from E and then up to A, but I've gone from E up to C. Look, there it is before, A down to E, so it should be E to A. The reason I've done that is because I'm heading towards this focal point again here, where we've got the F chord. So what I've done is I've gradually built up the melody. We've got C at the top, then we've got D at the top, then we have F, then we have G, then we have this final point with the A at the very top, the highest note of the piece, and the loudest part of the piece, which is the climax of the piece. So it all aims towards that. You can see here as well we've got octaves. So the reason why we've done that is because the top D and the F and the G all sound, they lose the sustain a little bit in the top registers. So by putting a note below it, an octave below it, it gives it some support and helps it to ring out a bit. Again, the harmony moves along a couple of bars. It goes then to single bars, and we get to an E suspended 4th chord again there that resolves onto the E7 chord. And that takes us nicely back into the outro. We're back at our A minor, and this part of the melody here comes from that section there, and then this part here at the end comes from this section here. You can see that it goes very quietly, and that melody note goes right up an octave above there to give it that kind of wistful sort of disappearance. Hope you enjoyed it. See you again.